hot on Wednesday, August 23rd. We were in dealerships all day yesterday, so we're feeling all pumped up and excited. But today we got to talk about VinFast popping again, EV to solve affordability, and going to the mall. I went to the mall so much when I was a kid.
You almost sound depressed. You almost sounded depressed when you said that. Yeah, like going to the mall.
That's just a result of, you know, what we do when we roll heavy for a day and like getting home at like 1 a.m. and waking up and it's all good. It's all good. Wednesdays, whenever we go and do these one-day trips, sometimes it's crazy, right? You wake up at 4 a.m., you get home at 1 a.m., which is the next day if you're doing that.
You're like, what happened to me?
Carry the one. That's 21-hour day. We're good with this. No, I actually am a big fan of the mall. Big fan of the mall.
I think it's great. I mean, I typically will hit the mall like once a year.
And when I do, I realize I don't need to go here for another year.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like the way I eat at Ponderosa. That's like every 8 years.
Wait, Ponderosa still exists?
I don't know. If it's gone out.
He's like, it was within the last 8 years. It's gone.
I don't know. Back in 2015 was probably the last time I was there.
Or like Golden Corral. You're like, this is going to be a great idea. You get to the end of it, you're like, this is a terrible idea.
What was I thinking? I've never been to a Golden Corral, I guess.
Oh, it's actually better than a Ponderosa. Like, it's okay. You know, it's okay. As long as you don't worry about all the depressed looking people eating too much food.
That is a study in anthropology. So, so let's talk about studying things. Today we have our next ASOTU Edge webinar coming up. Things every dealer should know, or everything dealers should do now that GA4 is live. And this is with Corey Wright and Scott Blaisdell and Steve Lories. All the people are there with CallRevue and Relevant Dealer. These have been so much fun. They've been very fast-paced. If you haven't experienced the 20 to 30-minute webinar format, you'll love it. You'll love it.
I enjoy it.
So
I enjoy it. It's fun. We
get
enjoy it.
We get out.
We know you get a little education. You can go back, rewind, understand exactly what to do. I've already gotten a glimpse at the deck. It's like practical, tactical, these things, exactly what to do in your GA4 account to make sure everything's all connected up.
Which is what you want in a webinar.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? What you want in the webinar. Hey, I want to say good morning to everybody on the live stream. People just showing up. Tony Lucas, the family. Adrian, good morning. Ed Roberts, Olivia, what's up? Brian.
Oh my goodness, Elliott. Olivia Lane? What? Never seen her on the morning pod. Let's go. Got everybody this morning.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for joining us here. Yeah, it's the more the merrier. But if you want to go to the webinar, you can still register. Just go to ASOTU.com. Scroll down just a little bit. Do it right now. Click register and check out the webinar. If you can't watch it live, you can watch it a little later. But we think you'll really like the format. And like Kyle said, like we're trying to bring you quick value, actionable things, which is really what everybody wants in a webinar. Like no droniness, right? No, you know the 1 hour webinar drone. We're like 38 minutes in. You realize like, oh, people are talking. Oh, there's a webinar going on, right? None of that. None of that. What else we have? Obviously, ASOTUCon. We added
the main hotel is almost booked out. So if you want to be in the main hotel, do not miss it. You can go to get your hotel first and then come back and get your ticket if you need to. But you're going to want to be in the main hotel if you come into ASOTUCon. Absolutely.
Yes, ASOTUCon.com. You can still get tickets $100 off until September 1. We got some new groups coming. Sioka group has been added. That's like another 49 rooftops. And Yaz, their service director for the entire group, is going to be with us. And he is just one of the most practical people. I can't wait for people like Yaz and like Ed Roberts to meet at ASOTUCon. That's what gets me so excited. Y'all going to love each other. Got the little bit. Some of the first ASOTUCon swag came in. This is a love people more than you love cars pen.
It's a little pen.
We got we got stuff going on. We're going to auction a custom guitar. It's going to be dope for vehicles for chain and auction. We've been conceptualizing what that's going to look like. It's going to be great. We got the swag is like the soccer scarf, which is so great. Custom shoelaces. And we're going to have a lot of fun. But don't forget, we're there to work. And you're going to go home from this with a lot of practical relationships and information and steps to do when you get back to your store with data and with fixed ops and with recruiting and sales and BDC. Like, look at the speaker list. You'll realize that this is the event that you want to be at if you can only go to one. All right, we got to talk about some news at some point today.
Here's the thing. Here it comes. This is wild.
Oh, yes. All right. So just when you thought The valuation roller coaster couldn't get any more wild. VinFast shares stunned the market yesterday, more than doubling. They doubled yesterday. Since their Wall Street debut. The spike comes on the heels of an announcement that Reuters made about South Korea's Star Group Industrial and their plan to build a Vietnamese factory for these things. So, like, obviously, everybody all excited. It got introduced to the market last week at $22 a share. The price actually reached $46.98, which I believe pushed the value over $100 billion yesterday. And it closed at 36.72, which brought it back down to 95 billion, which is still more than every major automaker on the exchange. Here's a key element. It got featured on a stock like kind of website Twitter feed called Stocktwits. Basically, this is where retail investors or individual investors kind of go for hey, let's make some money on these trending stocks. It's kind of where meme stocks are born and die. And so it hit Stocktwits trending list, which means a lot of retail investor money poured in, which make
individual investors. Yeah.
Nothing to do with the actual value of the company at that point.
It's unbelievable. The way that like spike hit midday, it's just ridiculous what's going on. It's still lots to be determined here with VinFast. Like,
well, markets are about to open. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens with
but about VinFast in general.
Yeah, I mean, we had the conversation on the Wheelhouse, and if you haven't checked out the Wheelhouse podcast, you got to check it out. The video version's on YouTube. You can search it on ASOTU.be or grab it on any podcast, but it's called the Wheelhouse. But we were talking about like whether or not dealers are going to be ready to play ball and want to be in their dealer network, how they're going to get distribution. They've only got 3,000 in the US at this point, so it's not like they've got this massive track record. So the valuation is just purely a voting machine at this point. It's incredible,
without a doubt. So I don't know. I'm interested because they're talking about, are they going to add dealerships? They're thinking about that. I think VinFast could be kind of the dark horse that entered the race, embraces the franchise dealership model and network, and could actually, I think, catapult past some of these other ones. I think they can do it. I don't know. I would take a long shot on that. I would take a long shot, especially if I will say this: if they embrace the franchise dealer network like they've been talking about, I'm betting on them over other people
on that
all day, every day, because we know a little thing or two about how dealers operate and how they get into something. Speaking of surprises, I guess. Surprised me. Top story in automotive news this morning. A new study reveals potentially surprising hero in the affordability challenge, EV leasing. So compared to traditional new research from Energy Innovation shows drivers can save over $400 a month compared to buying or leasing a traditional vehicle, thanks to government incentives and reduce fueling and maintenance costs. So this is kind of like, I don't know, it's part leasing conversation, part cost of ownership conversation. Yep. For instance, leasing a Tesla Model Y is around $425 cheaper per month than leasing a gasoline-powered BMW X4. Similarly, leasing a Kia Niro EV will save about $367 per month compared to the same vehicle, the gasoline version. Obviously, the $7,500 IRA credit at the beginning of a lease reduces the overall cost of the vehicle, reduces the taxes that you pay. So that makes a lot of sense. But even when the tax credit becomes unavailable in the future, leasing an EV is still projected to remain a cost-effective option for overall ownership because, lower fueling, lower maintenance compared to gasoline expenses.
Currently, at least, and I think we'll see this for the next few years, you're seeing a higher residual on the majority of those EVs. It's funny because historically, like back in the early 2010s, you didn't see high residual values, but the residual values have crept back up because more people know what to do with EVs. They know that the resale value is there, the battery life is sufficient. And so that residual value plus the incentive is really, really driving that overall payment, that payment gap. And I mean, it's a perfect, I keep saying this, EVs are the most perfect argument for leasing because you think about it as a software, like a software and hardware piece. It's like you need the updated hardware to manage the updated software, just like you would with a phone. And so we're going to see this like probably quicker average turn of vehicles for trade-ins with EVs, the more we go. And so we're going to see them operate more like phones in our payment plans.
Ooh, that's good.
And so it makes complete sense that leasing is the most aggressive and smartest way to own an EV right now.
That's right. Well, oh man, I don't know. Thinking of ways to own things.
Speaking of the most popular way of to own things.
Oh, that was terrible.
Segue button is tough when we're out.
That was terrible.
Tough when we're out late, guys. Hey,
Can't
if you
get it
think
all.
malls are dying, just think again. We've had a couple stories that allude to this, but it looks like U.S. malls are adapting, not dying, with many seeing actually higher occupancy and crowds than pre-pandemic. Top tier malls saw a 12% increase in foot traffic in 2022 compared to 2019, with an average leasing rate, so the stores in it, above 95%. So none of those like gaps in your walk through the mall. Basically, the story is e-commerce growth complements a brick and mortar retail. Omni-channel marketing actually drives mall growth because you have this desire to be in multiple places, have the opportunity to have experiences alongside potentially restaurants or anything like that. And this focus of a mall on being like, this is where community happens. This is where experience happens.
Love that.
This is where luxury shopping environments happen, are driving the newest generation, Gen Z, to continue and to go back into malls. And gosh, Paul, I see this. Like Amanda and I were driving past last week when we were coming back from vacation. We looked over at probably the third largest mall in Nashville. We were like, man, that thing is booming on a nice Saturday afternoon in Nashville.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the mall. I really do. I like it. I enjoy the energy, especially over the holidays. But I think one of the big takeaways for me is that if we could just rewind back a little bit, right before COVID, and we were just hearing about this retail apocalypse, and it was doom and it was gloom, and that as digital's taking over and brick and mortar is dead, what are we going to do with all this real estate? And guess what? That didn't matter, because obviously pricing changed, real estate changed, things regulated, and we found out the actual truth, not the hype, that people like being together. They like community. Yes. They like touching and feeling the things. They also love shopping online, and the two can coexist. And I think we have a lot to learn about from that in automotive, as we often, it's easy to get into these reactionary modes. We're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be all online. Oh my gosh, it's going to be all EV, right? Just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. I think this story just shows us.
I'm looking for more auto retailers to do what EverDrive and the Foundation Auto Group are doing, which is putting discovery and shopping locations right in mall outlets. The leasing space is small. You can do omni-channel retailing because of all the digital resources that are out there. And so why not just like make yourself a little home at the most hype mall in one of those 5% that they're really trying to sell out.
Got to be smart about it.
As a pop-up shop for just a little bit of time.
That's how you have to do it, because that's like $45 a square foot.
Yeah.
No, you can do it. Well, that's good. Hey, I feel like we've done our part this morning.
We've done our part. We've offered you some good things.
we've given you our best effort today. Now we know you're going to go out there, give it your best effort, so that collectively we can give consumers our best effort and love people more than we love cars.
Right.